Planktoners is a clade of shell-less quadrivalva closely related to the penistrum. When the early species established in the depths of the sea, they no longer needed to protect themselves with a shell. Instead, they evolved so as to make better use of the limited energy available in the abyssal zone. Their flesh has become translucent and better adapted to the tremendous pressures of the treacherous depths. They feed on marine snow that adheres to their 4 gluey tendrils. Planktoners emit a steady gentle glow that attracts predators of the creatures that prey on them, thus protecting them. Crystallopholioidea truly are one of the prettiest of deep-sea creatures. To spot a small colony is both humbling and a remarkable experience. They are somewhat related to Steammonstrumidea on the evolutionary tree, but they lack the protective shell-like structure. The cool thing about them is the patterns of bioluminescent nerves on all 4 limbs. These patterns glow quite brightly when the creature is touched. Crystallopholioidea feed on marine snow and all kinds of plankton, and they live a slow, peaceful, quiet, and long life. The candelabroidea are a clade of unusual deep-sea oddities. They have a tall, lanky, and fairly translucent body. Delicate-looking feathers cap each of their slimy tendrils. They emit a throbbing light that warns any unwary creature that dares to prey on them that they are not edible. Their flesh is laced with a toxin which is lethal for most of the moon's creatures. Because of the unlikelihood of encountering another of their kind for reproduction, candelabroidea resort to asexual reproduction via budding. A special organ releases about 2 or 3 dozens of small larvae each week. The larvae are not toxic when consumed. When they feel threatened, they emit the same throbbing lights that the adults do to deceive the predator into thinking that they are also toxic. Crystallocarcinoidea is a clade of small crab-like critters found in the deep sea. These beings have clear bodies protected by a fairly hard white carapace. Their limbs are covered with very sensitive hairs, which helps the critters be aware of their surroundings in the total darkness of the abyss. The most striking feature of the clade? Perhaps the abundance of venomous glass-like spikes that spread out in all directions on the inferior part of their carapace. Fun fact, the spikes glisten under a bright light. Claricarcinoidea are a clade of crab-like creatures that are entirely transparent. Their shells and internal organs are also entirely transparent. Furthermore, their bodies are soft and light. They have a slow metabolism. They sometimes mimic the movements of crystallopholioidea by swaying in ocean currents to remain unnoticed. They are mainly detritus feeders, but some species feed on varmint larvae which are found hidden in the sediments. Medusacarcinoidea is a clade made up of a variety of light and transparent crabs that drift in the water column. They feed mainly on marine snow. They have 4 long limbs covered in sticky hairs that collect residues, but they can also feed on zooplankton or on the odd larvae when they manage to catch one. The hairs on their limbs are bioluminescent and have a blue hue. They have a series of protuberances on their lower back that allow them to move by oscillation. The phasmatidea are a clade of eerie little creatures that flutter around looking for plankton or marine snow falling from above. They are transparent with a whitish hue, with glowing tendrils suspended between the filaments of their tail. They use their caudal tendrils to attract meroplankton looking for shelter in the open ocean. They then scoop up the plankton with their sticky limbs before slurping them up. The phasmatidea are fairly common in the Twilight zone. Oddly enough, their bodies are rich in nutrients, but luckily for them, they are also filled with a bitter and toxic liquid, which becomes less effective as the creature ages. The Abyssoidea are a clade of soft transparent-bodied creatures, easily identifiable by their large swimming membranes. They use their large membranous tail to propel themselves. The underside of the 2 swimming membranes is lined with luminous nervures that glow with an intense white light. The creatures of this clade seem to interact with each other using a language of light signals that has not yet been deciphered. They live in very small groups and feed on plankton and marine snow. They can live up to 200 years if they manage to avoid the many predators' tricks and traps. Sinoloidea is a clade of soft-bodied creatures. They are transparent, but they do have a slight black hue. They live in groups of several specimens and forage on plankton that they scoop up with their front limbs. The largest members of this clade can reach up to 4 meters in length, but generally, Sinoloidea reach up to 1 meter. They are aptly named for their sparkling swimming membrane. This scintillation normally keeps predators at bay and allows individuals of the same school to stick together, as they recognize each other in the dark. Even in the total darkness of the abyss, life shows great tenacity. Albivermidea is a clade related to the Pampinus, but instead of having 2 limbs, the species of this clade have 4. Their limbs have suction cups that allow them to firmly grip on the slippery seabed rocks, which are covered with a layer of bacteria. Even though they have no pigmentation, they are not quite translucent. They have long sticky tongues that split in 3 parts to help collect any drifting marine snow. Their metabolism is adapted to extreme depths, they live slowly and consume little energy. The Symbiotic clade includes species of filter feeder worms. Only the mouth structure, with its purple bioluminescent filaments, is visible. The Symbiotic use light to attract the occasional abyssal zooplankton that wanders into the abyssal depths. Their thick and bulky body is buried in sediment and equipped with gripping claws that allow them to attach itself firmly to the substrate. Bucophoridea is a clade made of carnivorous ambush predator worms. They are mostly grayish in color and the largest specimens can exceed 1 meter in length. You can tell Bucophoridea apart from other Vekia worms by the shape of their mouth, which resembles a large flower equipped with sharp hooks to better catch the unfortunate critter that ventures too close. They attract their prey by using light displays. Their mouths can retract completely. They are not very mobile and can stay in one place for weeks at a time to lure a prey inside their mouth structure. Immovermidea is a clade made up of small transparent carnivorous worms that are adapted to life at the bottom of the moon's oceans. Although they prefer to crawl, they can swim short distances thanks to a membrane at the end of their tails. The clade is easily distinguished from others thanks to luminous, retractable tentacles used to attract prey. Immovermidea hunt by delicately probing inside cracks and crevices in the underwater cliffs and try to lure out the small creatures that hide there. They are able to swallow creatures almost as big as they are thanks to their elastic body and stomach. Sometimes, when a creature survives being gobbled up, it can be seen moving around inside the worm's transparent body. Arantivermidea is a clade made up of a few rare species of translucent worms that live within the water column. To better navigate, they are equipped with a membrane which extends from either side of their body. 4 luminous appendages lure in curious prey. When one is nearby, the Arantivermidea ejects a sharp paralyzing projectile that lodges itself firmly in the prey's flesh. The Arantivermidea then retracts the projectile, along with the prey, thanks to a thread to which it is securely attached. Should the thread snap, another projectile is quickly reformed in the days or weeks that follow. The creatures of this clade are translucent deep-sea worms whose males and females have notable behavioral differences and sexual dimorphism. The males are bigger and much rarer than the females and they are mobile, whereas the females are sessile at maturity and remain attached to the substrate with a claw without ever relocating. Males are detritus feeders and can feed on the occasional small creature that they manage to catch while females feed strictly on plankton. The female's head glows with a soft light to attract plankton. The females are not really preyed on because they are filled with toxic blood. The Bathypoidea are part of the Bestiola family, which only includes a few clades. The Bestiola are very comparable to the arthropods on planet Earth. Unlike the majority of Bestiola, which are mostly microscopic in size, the Bathypoidea experience the effect of abyssal gigantism. They are 4-legged creatures with segmented bodies and a pair of pincers. They have hypersensitive eyes capable of contracting and retracting depending on the situation. They are mainly scavengers, but they also like to forage in the sediment deposit for nutritious bacteria. Vexscorpioidea is a clade of the Bestiola family. They are rather large because of the abyssal gigantism phenomenon. They are easily recognizable thanks to their segmented tail, which arches forward and ends in a powerful clamp from which protrudes a luminous organ. This luminous weapon is designed for attracting and killing prey and for defense. Vexscorpioidea also have a pair of smaller pincers that they use mainly to hold and dismantle their prey. They can't really swim. The clade lives at the very bottom of Vekia's sea and can live in total obscurity thanks to sensitive bristles that allow the creatures to perceive their surroundings quite effectively. Rapioidea is a clade of ambush predators which display a trait known as abyssal gigantism. They have a segmented body covered by a protective shell and are armed with very particular and effective spiky grippers. When they are on the hunt, they lure their prey with a display of light produced by luminous organs on their claws. When a prey enters a specific radius, Rapioidea launch their claws swiftly and with great accuracy, puncture the prey with their grappling hook and don't let go. Food is scarce in the abyss, and Rapioidea have adapted to this situation in such a way that their capture ratio is very high. Limacipicidae is a clade made up of fish-like creatures that live on the seabed in the deep sea. They feed mainly on bacteria that they sift from the seafloor sediments. They are also capable of ambush predation and are able to capture small crabs or other small creatures. They are necrophagous as well. You can find them in small groups feeding on the carcasses of larger animals that have sunk into the abyss. They are very versatile creatures but are primitive and have a very slow metabolism. They don't swim very well or quickly but still manage to move around with a row of small primitive fin-like limbs. The Symbiotic is a clade made of small elusive fish-like creatures from the Twilight zone. The high pressure of the depths has impacted the density of their bones and they have lost their jaw and teeth through evolution. Instead, they have a short proboscis and a tubular tongue. The fish-like creature lives in quasi-symbiosis with Cystolophoidea. In exchange for protection against parasites and predators, the Cystolophoidea offer the Symbiotic an occasional sweet oily fluid. Symbiotic can perfectly conceal themselves in the small groves of Crystallophoidea, which they also use as a nursery for their offspring. The creatures usually form long-lasting pairs on a small territory covered with Crystallophoidea, which they defend with great energy. During mating, they perform eerie rituals with their dazzling headgear. The Crepusculopisidae clade has evolutionary traits suited for abyssal life. Firstly, the creatures of this clade have dark bodies that make them practically invisible in the darkness of the deep sea. Secondly, they have a series of sensitive protuberances that detect vibrations as well as electric impulses. Thirdly, all species of the clade have a specific luminous signature that allows them to find each other and reproduce. The light they emit can also be used as a defense mechanism. They have sharp spines on their tail that serve as a deterrent for their predators. The animals of this clade are shadowy, solitary, and opportunistic. With the hundreds of small sharp teeth that line the inside of their maw, they will devour literally any small prey that they can get a hold of. The Umbrasopisidae are a clade of six-finned fish-like creatures. The species of this clade are found in Vekia's ocean twilight zone. They are jet black and are designed for swift swimming. They have a large dorsal fin which they use to make rapid maneuvers. Although they're fast creatures, at times, they also like to slow down their pace and just glide along. They usually live in small schools and patrol for any food source. When they feel threatened, they can make most of their body glow with an unsettling blue hue. The Gigaphasmapisidae are a clade of giant fish-like creatures. They are solitary animals. It is very rare to see two together, except during copulation, as they tend to avoid each other. They lay many eggs because few juveniles reach adulthood. However, once mature, the Phasmapisidae have few predators. They are predatory ambushers that catch their prey with their scintillating and bioluminescent tongue which resembles a worm and serves as bait. They have specialized sensory organs under their skin at the pectoral and dorsal fin levels and under the eyes. They swim and roam silently in the darkness of the ocean depths. It's always great to spot one. The Belyapisidae clade is made up of fish-like creatures. These solitary and elusive sea monsters are very large. The largest specimens easily reach 20 meters in length. However, they are gentle giants. They are mostly generalist. They prefer to track down the decomposing corpses of large animals that sink to the bottom of the sea. When no carcass is available, they survive by foraging on the sea floor in search of nutritious bacteria in the sedimentary mat. The appendices that form their mouth allow for a most peculiar feeding mechanism, similar to that of Earth's flies. They have to dissolve solid food into liquid. They also have bioluminescent organs, but as they are almost blind, the light signals serve as a warning to other species. Benevolent creatures can get close, but others prefer to stay away.